Item filters in Minecraft just got a huge upgrade thanks to the copper golem. These new item filters can sort any item in the game, even non-stackable items, and they can sort multiple items for a slice, and they're also just way cheaper than standard filters. So not only do these systems work on Bedrock and Java, but you can also upgrade them to have multiple copper golems. That way they sort items a lot faster. So using a standard item filter, you would only have one item per slice, and it wouldn't work for non-stackable items. But as you can see, we're sorting out everything important from a raid farm right here. We have all the emeralds and redstone and gunpowder going into this chest as an example. Totems of undying, enchanted books, basically everything you can want. Now these systems are limited in scale. They can only be 10 slices wide in total. This one is set up for 9 filter items, and the 10th one is our overflow in case anything random gets into the system. We don't want that breaking our copper golems. You can also combine this with normal item filters to sort out all the stackable items that you want to keep, because that'll be a little bit faster, and then just give these guys the excess bulk leftover items like all of the non-stackables. So right now they're sorting out all of our enchantment books, and we're keeping our totems, and then everything else that's junk and garbage that we don't want goes into an overflow chest that we can just throw into some lava. So if you want a bunch of similar junk items to go to the same slot, like all of the iron armor, then you can have all of those things pop into one chest and then smelt it super easily, so that you don't need like 10 different slices just for the iron gear. There's a lot of ways to build the system, but as you can see, I have 2 sorting systems to either side of our copper chest input right here. So you throw everything from your farm into here, and then we have 6 copper golems sorting out all of those items for us. So the redstone of these systems looks incredibly similar to a standard item filter, but it's actually a lot more powerful because we're reading from a chest right here, and the only way that items get into that chest is from the copper golem. Now, as you can see, we can have 3 different rows of copper golems all sorting into this chest, meaning that it can be 3 times faster than normal. So to configure your chest, it's really easy. If you want to sort out diamond pickaxes, you just literally put 1 diamond pickaxe in there. Anytime another one comes into the system, it's going to get automatically drained out. And as you can see, those will drain down to the bottom, and we have nice storage. If we modify the redstone to have 3 redstone dust instead of 2, then what we can do is we can actually have up to 3 different non-stackable items per slice. So now they're going to sort swords, pickaxes, and shovels into this chest, and they always put the item into the first slot, so you don't need to worry about these ones draining out of the system. And to sort pretty much any other item in the game, you just put 1 item of that type into the chest, and the copper golems will do the rest. Now, if you're sorting stackable items, then there's always going to be a stack and 59 left over in the chest, and the next time a single item comes through, then it'll get drained. This also means that we can have multiple items in one chest, like this one right here has got gunpowder, emeralds, and redstone, meaning that all 3 of those things will drain down into this one if that's how you want to set up your system. As you can see, there is so many ways to build and upgrade this system. Now, there is a couple of limitations with this system that you should know about. So if the chest gets backed up all the way to the very top here, then eventually that is going to overflow, and it's going to power the slices next to it. If you just space out your slices by a block, then they can't overpower and break each other. Of course, this isn't optimal, and your system gets a lot larger and then slower, but it does work if you plan on neglecting your storage. And the other way to avoid it is to just add more storage and or clean it out sometimes so it doesn't overflow. A little note, if you have multiple golems and they're sorting a ton of the same item back to back really quickly, it can actually fill up enough slots in the very top chest without the rest of your storage even being full, and that can also overpower its slice. So just keep that in mind if you're using multiple golems. If you only have 1 golem, maybe even 2, it's probably not going to be a problem. This also only happens if you put a ton of the same identical item into the input chest, and it only affects stackable items. Non-stackable items don't have this problem. Of course, there's a lot of different ways to design an item filter like this, but here's a few of them, and this is the one that I'm going to show you how to build in today's video. I think it's the best. It's super simple, super cheap, and you can have 3 copper golems surrounding the entire chest, so you can get the fastest sorting with it. And let's hop into the tutorial, shall we? If you enjoy this build, then let us know in the comments down below and tell us how you use it. But we're going to start off with just a copper chest right here, and like the 3rd block up, this is where you're going to put the items into your build, or you know, the output of your farm. All of your items are going to go in there basically, and then our copper golems are going to sort our items going across this direction over here. Now you could easily put this chest on like the other side if you really wanted to. Either way, we're going to start off with a chest next to it going down into a double chest. This is going to be the first chest chests that our copper golems actually sort items into. So what we're going to do is we're going to go out behind this. We need a 4-block long area, and we're simply going to build up a little bit of a plus shape like this, and then one more block right there. Pop out the one in the middle so that it looks exactly like this. And now we're just going to place in a comparator right here. 2 pieces of redstone dust going down. Turn around. We need a repeater right there. And then we need a redstone torch right there. Now that is actually the item filter itself done. But of course we need to add in the copper golems. And while we're here, if you want to add in more storage than just a double chest, you can mine out a little bit of area here on the front. We're going to add in a couple of double chests. You can extend this going as far down as you want. You can have this going into a trash can, an item filter, an auto smelter, an auto crafter, literally anything. But I'm just going to have a couple extra double chests of storage right here. So now we can build more of these slices. You can have up to 10 of these slices in total, but if you do 10, make sure that no extra items get into your system. Generally, it's good to do 9 of these slices and then have the 10th one be like no redstone and just overflow item collection. Because if your copper golem picks up an item and it doesn't have anywhere to put it, it's basically just going to break. So building more of these going across is really easy. I would start with the repeaters. So we're just going to put down a whole nother row of these until we have 9 of them in total. And then you got your blocks going in front of them. You can put your redstone torches on the sides of these right here. And then just keep staircasing up your solid blocks behind all these guys. So all of your blocks are in place now. And then you just go ahead and you spam redstone on top of all of it. You put your comparators in place facing into these blocks. And now you can just go ahead and build up all of these chests. So we can add in our optional double chest at the bottom here with the hoppers going into the back sides of those, or you can do just your simple double chest of storage down here at the bottom with the one hopper going into the top of it. Now all of these chests at the top here do need to be facing sideways, that way they don't connect. You don't want a double chest like this right here because that would break your system, of course. So that is 9 normal item filters right there, and then we have an extra slot here on the end. So if you want this to be for just like overflow item collection for random items that you don't care about or whatever the case may be, just put in an extra chest and hopper like this, and that will collect every excess item that ends up in your system. But of course you can also add in another item filter right here. Now copper golems only search through 10 regular chests, so you cannot have an 11th chest on the end. You would need 2 of these systems tiled together. Now before we install the copper golem, it's a good time to actually configure in your chest. So I'd put some item frames on the front down here or some signs, and then you just need to put 1 item into every single one of these chests. Now you can configure these chests with literally any item in the game. It can be stackable, non-stackable, does not matter. I would recommend that you put it into the bottom right corner of the chest. That way every item that the copper golem puts in here will go into the first slot and that'll get drained out. But ultimately it doesn't really matter where you put the item. So yeah, it's the exact same process for stackable items and also for non-stackable items. Literally just throw something in there and it'll work. Now if you have an extra miscellaneous slice on the end of the system that doesn't have any redstone for it, of course this chest is always going to be empty, and it has to be empty in order for them to drop off items here that you're not actually sorting in the rest of the system. And now we get to install the copper golems. So the first one we're going to add is going to be right back here standing on top of the comparators. So you want to go to the end of the system, put in yourself a glass block or something right here, and then we need upper slabs going all the way across the entirety of the build, because otherwise he's not going to be able to stand in there. So now we need to actually summon this guy in here. We're going to get some temporary blocks in all of these areas. You need a copper block, your pumpkin, and then you need a piece of honeycomb to stop him from oxidizing. You want to break out that chest or otherwise push him in there, and then just put in the upper slab above him. It might take a little bit of effort to get him in there. They're kind of annoying, but that is basically where our first copper golem is going to be going. If you want to add a second copper golem to the system to double your sorting speed, we're going to place in ourselves an upper slab right here above this chest, and then we need a line of glass blocks right here in front of these chests. Basically, we're going to be building up a cage around this entire area out of glass blocks, mostly so that we can actually see the golem in there. And I found that if we have like a block above it right here, it kind of breaks the golem's pathfinding. They're kind of dumb, and this actually makes summoning the golem really easily, because then you can just break out the chest and wax the guy. Now the third copper golem is going to be going right here, so I'm going to put in a layer of slabs as the floor right here, and then getting yourself some glass blocks on the end and on the front of this to actually keep the guy in there. Now we're also going to need a wall block right here. I found that this works best for allowing this this lower guy to actually access the copper chest. But even then, it can be a little bit inconsistent, so you might need to try around with like a lower slab or putting the wall right here, maybe even an upper slab, but generally a wall right here should be fine. So we can just summon in the copper golem right here, put in your copper block, your pumpkin, your comb, and then push the guy in there, and then put in your wall, and you should be good. So now if you want to double the system, you can build another 9 or 10 slices off of the left side of this. That way you have 6 copper golems actually pulling from this chest right here. And it would look basically the same as this setup right here. Now, what if you want to build 2 of these systems and tile them together? So we have 9 item filters right here. Our 10th one is the overflow. That goes into another copper chest right here. And then we can just repeat that as many times as we want, tiling these systems together. Well, luckily, it's really easy. So we have our first 9 item filters right here, of course. And then the 10th chest goes upwards by a block with a hopper underneath it that's pointing to the side. And that's where you would install the next copper chest. And that is the beginning of the next storage system. Now we have a couple of walls right here to keep this lowest guy right here in place. And then we also need a slab right here to keep this lower guy in place and actually let him open up that chest. Now, if you're not using a lower golem, then you don't need to worry about any of this stuff here on the front. And just for clarity, as you can see, that hopper is indeed pointing to the right, and this is where both of our walls would be going. And I'll show that from the back as well, in case you guys have any confusion about how exactly to build this. It really is quite very simple. If you like this tutorial, then drop a like on the video, let us know in the comments how it worked out for you, and subscribe for more tutorials.